we're doing well. Welcome back to a very exciting episode of CS News. As always, let's get right into it. And first off today, guys, in CS News, we did have TSM finally replace Automatic, who went to Cloud9 nearly 2 weeks ago from today and has admittedly looked amazing for that team as of right now and has been a great fit so far. But TSM has finally added their replacement for him, which will be Skylar from Selfless Gaming, who left that roster just 48 hours ago and has already been signed. So obviously a very planned, very well thought out process here from TSM, and also right in time for the $100,000 Northern Arena tournament, which I actually announced in the previous CS News episode. If you guys want to check that out, the $100,000 Northern Arena tournament is actually going to be occurring in Toronto, Canada, between a bunch of North American teams. SK Gaming will not be one of those teams, so it's supposedly going to be a very close competition, and one of the competitions that I love the most because we have all these new rosters all clashing during this arena tournament, which will be happening very soon on September 1st, so watch out for that, guys. A $100,000 prize pool between all these new rosters. The favorites will be Cloud9. Obviously, they have Automatic on their new roster. We also have TSM, who just announced Skylar from Selfless Gaming, and Selfless Gaming will also be there with their new temporary stand-in who goes by the name of Caboose. So very excited for all of this, guys. We have all these new North American rosters all competing very heavily. With SK Gaming not present, it should be really fun to see all these groups clash together. Now, although all these groups are actually in different groups, there's 4 groups of 4 teams. They're all in different groups, that is. So they all will have to make out of group stages to actually compete against their old rosters and their old teammates. But it'd be really fun to see if these guys actually clash during this tournament. And in very cool CS:GO news, guys, the team we've covered on this channel a lot in the past, especially the past couple months, that is Team X, or I guess I should say the former XSK roster and also the former Team X roster, who has now decided to officially brand themselves as a team known as Team Heroic. As a few of you guys know, they were only temporarily Team X for a short amount of time, probably several months there, which symbolized them as what many people knew them for, which is them being the XSK squad. So that's why they were temporarily Team X. The team also came out and said now the roster is finalized with Freeze, Madi, Glaive, Valdi, and also Snappy being their 5th final player. They were kind of trying out Snappy for a short amount of time. Now they've come out and said Snappy is going to be our permanent 5th. Now that we're more of a permanent roster, we're going to brand ourselves, and that way they branded their org and renamed themselves, of course, as many of you guys know now, as the new team known as Team Heroic. So a really cool name there, and I really do believe this Team X roster, I was going to do a story about this sometime in the past, forgot about it really, about the potential of this Team X roster. We've seen them compete against teams like the old Godsent roster. They beat them in a best of 3 series. The old FaZe roster, they beat them in a best of 3. Also Astralis, they beat some top tier teams and especially made a big jump from the past couple months. We saw them playing, lower tier teams such as Epsilon, Alternate Attacks, all those teams that ENCE Esports, a lower tier team, and now compared to the teams they're beating now and playing against, they've made a big jump into an upper tier they never really played against before. And so as of right now, the month of experience they've had playing against these teams like Godsent, FaZe, Astralis, Virtus Pro, whoever it may be, although they're dropping games to some of them, obviously you're going to lose these games. This Team X roster is definitely performing very well together. Hopefully this new team branding actually pushes them further in the future. I think this team has a lot of potential to actually compete with these top tier teams. And first off, guys, before I get into this last or this one of these CS:GO news stories for us, a more serious CS:GO news story for today, I do want to talk about there's definitely mental illnesses out there, and I probably will take this way out of hand. So just so you guys know, this story, maybe I took it the wrong way, maybe I discussed the wording in a weird way for all of you guys, maybe you all took it in a different light than I did, but we did have Dignitas' very own Rubino come out with a twitlonger a couple days ago discussing his problems with his ability in game as of right now. In the past week or so, he actually said on his twitlonger he's had an inability to focus, he's had constant headaches, and really had a hard time focusing on the game and actually wanting to play the game. And among other things, it sounded like he was really struggling with something he didn't want to actually say or come out and say just forthright what it was his problem was. Now, we've had things in the past. We had G2's very own RPK. We also had SK Gaming's Fur. These guys had perforated eardrums from playing video games. It's intense stuff. These physical injuries. You had Olaf Meister and Guardian have their wrist injuries, however they may be related, all these physical injuries. And now we have Dignitas' very own Rubino coming out with this twitlonger, and it sounds so much more, not so much a physical thing, but a mental side of things. And it sounds like a mental thing that he really doesn't want to come out and actually forthright and say. So I'm not going to say anything on this channel that's going to, take this out of hand. I don't want to maybe say that he's suffering from something else outside the gameplay, but it sounds like he's struggling really, terribly with this mental side of the game where you're kind of trying to focus and play this game for so long, you're dedicating your life to it. So I'm very worried about this side of the game for these players. Instead of the physical side, like I said, RPK, Fur, Olaf Meister, Guardian, that physical side to it, you can heal, but these mental things, these can kind of carry on with you the rest of your life. So very honestly worried by Rubino. He will be stood in for by this new tournament coming up very soon. It's called the Powerland Tournament. It's a Danish tournament. It's going to be actually only Danish teams there, 8 Danish teams. The 3 favorites there will be Team X, who are now Team Heroic. We also have Astralis and of course Team Dignitas. Now Rubino said he's going to be out for probably at least a week right now for Dignitas, and he wanted to discuss with all of us why he was out. So that was his issue as of right now. He will be stood in for by FaZe Clan's very own AZ at this tournament, and those 3 teams I mentioned right there, Astralis, Team X, now Heroic, and also Dignitas, are those 3 favorites at that Powerland tournament, all competing for the $15,000 prize for first place. this. So again, best of luck to recovery for Rubino. I'm kind of really concerned about this kind of thing. I'm really curious to see if more players come out with this kind of stuff in the future. Now that we have one player, you know, we had Guardian come out and Olaf Meister come out with their injuries, and all these other players kind of jumped on that train and led to discussion about their injuries as well. I'm curious to see if more players are going to come out, put longer posts like this, and actually discuss their real life issues as well. I am incredibly sorry for rambling on that last story. I know a lot of you guys are going to say, whoa, Jake, you know, he just needs to take a break from CSGO. You took that way out of hand. I'm just saying there's definitely a mental side of things for injuries wise coming soon to CSGO, especially when you guys continue to strain and play away at this game, you know, anywhere from 6 to 12 hours a day. I definitely think there might be a deeper story here. I'm sorry if I took that out of hand. Anyway, next story, guys. And in very interesting CSGO news, guys, revealed earlier this week by former CLG and now Energy player FugLy, he came out on Twitter and stated that he and his Energy teammates had actually found out a way to jump shoot with 100% accuracy with any gun, which also included the op. So obviously very important here, a big glitch in the game. Kind of cool as well, though. Several days later, FugLy also announced that Valve was in contact with him. He in turn contacted Valve back as well, and they're resolving the issue to fix this problem. Now, kind of curious here, he and his teammates never released any videos of actually showing us this glitch, although we can probably assume that they're not going to troll about this kind of thing, but obviously a pretty big issue if they would have, you know, exploited this bug during a tournament. So good, congrats Energy, FugLy, and his teammates to actually kind of get this resolved before actually trying to go and do a Fnatic and pull this off in a tournament. Now, this same thing being said here, actually a month ago, very curious guys, a month ago from today exactly, we had former Liquid AdreN on his YouTube channel reveal the same thing, but not with jump shooting, with fall shooting. The same thing, only with rifles, 100% accuracy while falling. Now, obviously a bigger problem here would have been if you can just go around the map jump shooting with 100% accuracy, but AdreN still found another glitch in the system a month ago from today where you could actually fall damage and do 100% accuracy with any rifle. Now, I'm not sure if this issue has been resolved either, but apparently FugLy's issue will be resolved. And yes, AdreN had video footage of him actually proving this, so kind of a cool thing there. Exactly a month ago today, we had 2 glitches found out now, guys. I also got a package, but I'm actually not allowed to tell you guys what's inside of it, so that's pretty cool. Alright guys, that's going to do it for today's episode of CSGO News. I'm sorry for the short episode and extending out these articles or reports way longer than I should have. Hope you guys all enjoyed it. Hopefully see you guys all sometime soon this week with more CSGO News. Look at this shirt I got, by the way. Yeah, pretty cool shirt. As always, live, love, laugh a lot. See you guys all later. Remember, I like you. Goodbye.